The discovery. The pale blue light of Kepler 438b's twin moons filtered through the excavation dome, casting long shadows across the ancient ruins. Dr. Lyra Nakamura adjusted her breathing apparatus and brushed dust from the strange symbols etched into what appeared to be a control panel. 3 weeks of digging had finally revealed this chamber, buried beneath kilometers of sediment and forgotten by time. Anything interesting? Dr. Elias Rodriguez asked, his voice crackling through her comm unit. He monitored her vital signs from the base camp 2 kilometers away. Define interesting, Lyra replied, carefully extracting soil samples from around the panel. If you mean, will this discovery rewrite everything we know about intelligent life in the galaxy? Then yes, extremely interesting. Elias chuckled. You say that about every dig site. This time I mean it. Lyra's hand hovered over a section of the panel that seemed to pulse with faint luminescence. Something about the geometric patterns felt strangely familiar, triggering an inexplicable sense of déjà vu. Against protocol, she removed her glove and pressed her palm against the cool surface. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The entire chamber hummed to life, dormant systems awakening after eons of silence. The floor beneath her feet vibrated as hidden mechanisms engage. Lyra, your heart rate just spiked. What's happening? Elias's concerned voice barely registered as she watched the walls transform, ancient script flowing like liquid across surfaces that now glowed with internal light. I think I just turned it on, she whispered, both thrilled and terrified. The whole facility is activating. The central platform in the chamber rose slowly, revealing a crystalline structure that pulsed with internal light. Inside the crystal, suspended in perfect preservation, was what appeared to be DNA, a double helix structure that any human schoolchild would recognize. Elias, are you seeing this? She adjusted her helmet camera to capture the impossible sight. That's DNA, human DNA. His voice had lost all traces of skepticism. But that's impossible. This facility predates human evolution by millions of years. Lyra approached the crystal, transfixed. Maybe we've been thinking about evolution all wrong. The scanning device at her belt chirped as it automatically collected data. The readings made no sense. The crystal was emitting radiation patterns that matched nothing in their databases, yet somehow interfaced perfectly with her scanner. As data flowed into her device, the crystal's glow intensified. 3 days later, Lyra stared at her lab results in disbelief. The genetic sequences displayed on her screen contained impossible similarities to human DNA, not just superficial resemblances, but deep structural patterns that couldn't be explained by convergent evolution. They knew us before we existed, she murmured to herself. Or they made us, Elias suggested quietly from across the lab table. The implication hung heavy in the recycled air of their research dome. The communication terminal chimed, breaking the tense silence. It was a priority message from Earth Central, their funding organization. Dr. Nakamura, the stern-faced bureaucrat, began without preamble. You are ordered to cease all research activities immediately. Your findings have been classified under Galactic Security Protocol 7 Alpha. A containment team will arrive within 72 hours to secure all artifacts and data. On whose authority? Lyra demanded, though she already suspected the answer. The Terran Unified Government and the Department of Exarchaeological Regulation. Your discovery has implications that require careful management. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Lyra and Elias staring at each other in stunned silence. They're going to bury this, Elias finally said, like they did with the Mars findings and the Europa samples. Lyra's jaw tightened. Not this time. She began systematically downloading the research data onto secure drives. This isn't just another interesting alien artifact. This is about humanity's origins, our very existence. People have a right to know. What are you planning? Elias asked, though his hands were already moving to help her. I know someone with a ship. someone who doesn't particularly care about government regulations. 48 hours later, Lyra stood in the shadowy confines of Outpost Gamma, a trading hub known for its flexible interpretation of Terran law. The bar was filled with the usual mix of miners, smugglers, and refugees from various corners of the colonized galaxy. Captain Haruki Chin was exactly where her message had said he would be, nursing a drink in the darkest corner of the establishment. His weathered face and calculating eyes spoke of decades navigating both space and its dangerous inhabitants. The small scar that ran from his left eye to his jawline was the only visible evidence of his former career as a Terran fleet officer before his dishonorable discharge. Dr. Nakamura, he acknowledged with a slight nod as she slid into the seat across from him. You're either very brave or very foolish to be seen with me, especially given your situation. You've heard already, Lyra asked, surprise. News travels fast when the government suddenly quarantines an entire research outpost. The official story is pathogen containment, but the deployment of a Sentinel-class cruiser suggests otherwise. He studied her face. What did you find down there? Lyra hesitated, then pulled out a small holographic projector. The image that appeared between them showed the DNA structure from the crystal. The truth about where we come from, she said simply, and why someone doesn't want us to know. Chen's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes, a mixture of fear and curiosity. And you want me to help you evade a Terran blockade with this information. I have coordinates embedded in the genetic sequence itself, pointing to a location beyond the outer rim. You realize what you're asking would make us both enemies of Earth. There's no coming back from that. Lyra nodded. Some truths are worth being exiled for. Chen was silent for a long moment, staring at the slowly rotating DNA model. Finally, he downed his drink in one swift motion. My ship, the Artemis, leaves in 3 hours. Docking Bay 17. Bring only what you absolutely need. He stood to leave, then paused. Does anyone else have these coordinates? Just me. I erased them from the main database. Good, because I have a feeling we're not the only ones interested in where they lead. The Artemis was not what Lyra had expected. From the outside, it appeared to be a standard bulk freighter, the kind that hauled raw materials between mining colonies. Inside, however, it was clearly something else entirely. A military-grade vessel disguised as a cargo ship with advanced navigation systems and weapon arrays hidden beneath innocuous panels. Former Terran scout vessel, Chen explained as he caught her examining a weapons locker. Decommissioned after the Proxima conflict. I acquired it through unofficial channels. Before she could respond, alarm klaxons blared throughout the docking bay. A mechanical voice announced, "Attention all vessels. Outpost Gamma is now under lockdown by order of Terran security forces. All departures are suspended pending security inspection." "They're here for you," Chen stated flatly, already moving toward the bridge. "Strap in." This departure just became significantly less routine. The engines roared to life as Lyra secured herself in the co-pilot's seat. Through the viewports, she could see armored security officers storming the docking bay, weapons drawn. "Hold tight," Chen muttered, his hands dancing across the controls. The ship shuddered as it broke free from its moorings without proper disengagement protocols. Warning shots from security forces ricocheted off the hull as they accelerated toward the hangar doors. "They're still closed," Lyra exclaimed, gripping her seat as the massive barrier loomed ever closer. Chen's only response was a tight smile as he hit a sequence of controls. The hidden weapon systems emerged from their concealment, and precision laser fire cut through the hangar door mechanisms. As the doors began to malfunction and separate, the Artemis slipped through the opening, metal screeching against metal. "The blockade will be waiting," Chen warned as they cleared the outpost's immediate space. "When I give the word, input those coordinates into the nav system." The blackness of space opened before them, momentarily peaceful, until the massive silhouette of a Terran Sentinel-class cruiser decloaked directly in their path, weapon systems glowing with charged energy. Unidentified vessel, you are harboring a fugitive and carrying classified materials. Power down immediately and prepare to be boarded, came the command over the open channel. Chen ignored it, instead executing a series of evasive maneuvers that seemed impossible for a ship of the Artemis's size. Now, Doctor, the coordinates. Lyra's fingers flew across the navigation panel, inputting the strange sequence she had memorized from the alien artifact. The ship's computer hesitated, as if confused by the destination, then accepted the input. Jump drive charging, the ship's AI announced calmly. 15 seconds to jump capability. The cruiser fired a warning shot that blazed past their starboard side, close enough to make the shields flare brilliantly. The next one won't miss, Chen muttered. 10 seconds is too long. He banked the ship sharply, diving toward the nearby moon's gravity well. A dangerous move that could tear lesser vessels apart. What are you doing? Lyra shouted over the groaning of the hull. Buying us time, Chen replied, guiding the ship into a slingshot trajectory around the moon. The maneuver would either give them the seconds needed for the jump drive to charge, or tear them apart under gravitational stress. The Artemis shuddered violently as it rode the gravitational current, accelerating to speeds that made the stars blur outside the viewport. Behind them, the Terran cruiser attempted to follow, but was too large to match their trajectory. Jump drive ready, the AI announced. Execute jump, Chen commanded. The fabric of space folded around them, stars stretching into lines of light as the Artemis leaped into the void, carrying with it the first humans to willingly seek the truth about their origins, a truth that lay waiting at coordinates embedded in humanity's very DNA. The revelation. The Artemis emerged from jump space amid a field of stellar debris, the remnants of a long-dead solar system. Ahead of them floated an enormous structure, not a planet, not a space station, but something that defied easy classification. It resembled a massive geometric lattice surrounding a dark sphere, like a cage built to contain a small moon. Those are your coordinates, Chen asked, his voice hushed despite himself. Lyra nodded, unable to tear her eyes from the impossible construction. It matches the architectural patterns from the ruins. This is what the genetic code was pointing to. Scans showed the structure was ancient, billions of years old by preliminary estimates, yet it emitted a faint energy signature, suggesting it wasn't entirely dormant. As they approached, portions of the lattice began to glow with the same pale blue luminescence Lyra had observed in the ruins. It's responding to our presence, she whispered. Or to you specifically, Chen replied, nodding toward the scanner. The energy patterns increased the moment you approached the console. A transmission suddenly cut through the ship's communication system, not in any recognizable language, but in patterns of sound and light that somehow translated directly into concepts in their minds. The progeny returns. Access granted. A section of the lattice reconfigured itself, creating an opening just large enough for the Artemis to pass through. Chen hesitated, his hands hovering over the controls. We could still turn back, he said, though they both knew it wasn't a real option. Not after coming this far. Forward, Lyra replied firmly. Always forward. The interior of the structure defied human comprehension. Spaces seemed to fold into themselves, corridors extending infinitely before suddenly terminating at chambers that couldn't possibly fit within the dimensions they'd observed from outside. Gravity shifted subtly as they moved deeper, not in the artificial way of human-designed habitats, but as if the fundamental laws of physics were being gently rewritten around them. They docked the Artemis at what appeared to be an ancient bay designed for vessels far different from their own. As they prepared to disembark, Chen checked his pulse rifle. That won't be necessary, Lyra said confidently. Chen raised an eyebrow. You seem awfully certain about a facility built by aliens we know nothing about. Not nothing, she corrected him. We know they understood human DNA before humans existed, and they just called us progeny. Whatever awaits us in there, I don't think it wants us dead. The atmosphere within the structure was breathable, but ancient, carrying scents that had no analog on Earth. They followed pathways that illuminated as they approached, leading them deeper into the heart of the facility. It's like it's remembering how to accommodate human visitors. Chen observed as environmental systems activated around them, adjusting temperature and atmospheric composition to more comfortable levels. Finally, they reached what could only be described as a central chamber, a vast spherical space with a platform at its center. As Lyra stepped onto the platform, the entire chamber came alive with projected images, star maps, genetic sequences, and mathematical formulas so complex they made her head ache just looking at them. A figure materialized before them, not solid, but not quite a hologram either. It had a vaguely humanoid shape, but with proportions that were subtly wrong. Limbs too long, head too large, eyes too wide and deep. The progeny has returned as predicted, it stated in that same strange communication that bypassed their ears and spoke directly to their minds. The cycle nears completion. "Who are you?" Lyra asked, her scientific curiosity overwhelming her fear. "We are the architects," the figure responded. "Shapers of worlds, creators of potential. You would understand us as your progenitors." "You created humanity?" Chen asked skeptically. The figure made a gesture that wasn't quite a nod. "We seeded, we guided, we enhanced. The base material was present, but the spark, what makes you uniquely human, that was our design." The chamber around them transformed, showing Earth in its primordial state. They watched as meteorites carrying specific molecular compounds bombarded the young planet, saw primitive life forms subtly altered through what appeared to be directed evolution, witnessed early hominids experiencing sudden genetic jumps that should have taken millions of years. "Why?" Lyra finally asked. "Why create us?" The figure's expression shifted to something unreadable. "Because the void comes, and we could not stop it. Our civilization spanned galaxies, mastered physics beyond your comprehension, bent time to our will, and still, we failed." The projection changed again, showing darkness spreading between stars, consuming everything it touched. Not like a black hole or any natural phenomenon, but something that seemed to unravel reality itself. "The void consumes all," the architect continued. "It does not devour matter and energy. It erases the very laws that allow them to exist. We fought it for millennia, but could only slow its advance." "What does this have to do with humanity?" Chen demanded. "Everything." The figure approached Lyra, studying her with those two large eyes. "Your species was our final project, our greatest achievement. We encoded within your DNA the potential to perceive reality differently, to see patterns where others see chaos, to imagine possibilities that others cannot conceive." Lyra's mind raced, connecting dots across scientific disciplines. "Our creativity, our ability to think abstractly and make intuitive leaps." "Yes," the architect confirmed. "These are weapons against the void, for the void operates by fixed patterns. It cannot comprehend that which evolves unpredictably. It cannot consume that which reimagines itself." Chen shook his head in disbelief. "You're saying humans were designed as weapons against this cosmic horror?" "Not weapons, successors." The figure's form flickered slightly. "My consciousness has maintained this facility for longer than your species has existed, waiting for the day you would discover your true potential. That time is now, for the void stirs again after eons of dormancy." The projection shifted to show current star maps. In the distant reaches of the galaxy, stars were beginning to dim in a pattern that matched the ancient recordings. "The Confederation of Species has been containing humanity," the architect explained, "limiting your expansion, hindering your technological development, afraid of what you might become if fully awakened to your potential. They survived the first incursion of the void, but at great cost. Their fear is understandable, but misguided." "Confederation." Lyra questioned. We've never encountered other intelligent species. You have been quarantined, observed from afar, occasionally interfered with when you came too close to discoveries that might reveal your true nature. Understanding dawned on Chen's face. The mysterious signal interference whenever we probe certain regions of space. The unexplained disappearances of ships near the Kuiper Belt. We've been kept in a cosmic playpen. For your protection and theirs, the architect acknowledged. But the time for containment has passed. The void approaches, and the galaxy needs what only humanity can provide. As if responding to the architect's words, the facility suddenly trembled. Warning signals flashed throughout the chamber. We have been discovered, the architect announced, its form becoming more translucent. The Confederation's sentinels approach. They seek to maintain the quarantine at any cost. Through the chamber's projection, they could see multiple vessels materializing around the structure. Sleek, crystalline ships unlike anything in Earth's fleet. What do we do? Lyra asked, looking between Chen and the fading architect. You must bring the truth to humanity, the architect replied. Activate your potential. The facility contains templates for technology beyond your current understanding, means to defend against both the Confederation and the void itself. My consciousness will transfer this knowledge to your vessel. And if the Confederation stops us? Chen questioned, already calculating escape routes. They will try. The architect's form was barely visible now. But they forget what makes humans unique. You adapt, you overcome, you imagine solutions where none should exist. It is why you were created. It is why you will succeed where even we failed. With those words, the architect vanished completely. In the same moment, the facility shuddered more violently as the alien vessels opened fire upon it. We need to go, Chen urged, already pulling Lyra toward the exit. Now. They raced back through the shifting corridors, the structure around them beginning to destabilize under the bombardment. By the time they reached the Artemis, sections of the facility were already breaking apart, ancient systems failing after billions of years of operation. The ship's computer greeted them with an unfamiliar tone. Knowledge transfer complete. New navigation and defense systems available. Get us out of here, Chen commanded as they strapped in. The Artemis responded with newfound power, systems upgrading themselves in real time as the ancient knowledge integrated with their technology. The ship moved with impossible grace, evading debris and weapons fire alike as they navigated toward the lattice's opening. They're targeting our engines, Lyra reported, monitoring the tactical display. 6 vessels in pursuit, technology far beyond ours. Not anymore, Chen replied grimly, activating one of the newly available systems. The space around the Artemis rippled as if reality itself was being folded. When it stabilized, they had jumped several light minutes away, a technology that should have been impossible for a vessel their size. Micro-jumping, Chen breathed in amazement. The tactical applications alone. We need to reach Earth, Lyra insisted. The truth needs to spread before the Confederation can contain it again. Chen nodded, plotting a course back to the heart of human space. The question is, will humanity be ready to hear it? To accept that we were created as weapons against a cosmic horror, that our creativity, our art, our imagination, all of it designed for war. Lyra's expression was resolute as she watched the stars streak by. Not just for war. For survival, of all consciousness, all reality. We were made to be guardians against chaos, not just its destroyers. As the Artemis raced toward Earth, carrying its world-shattering truth, the first tendrils of the void crept into the edges of charted space. Darkness against the stars, hungering for the light of consciousness. The ancient enemy had returned, just as the architects had foreseen. But this time, humanity would face it not as an ignorant species in quarantine, but with the full knowledge of their purpose and potential. The truth about humanity's origins was no longer forbidden, and the universe would never be the same again. On Earth, in countless observatories, Astronomers noted a strange phenomenon spreading through distant star systems, a darkness that defied explanation, consuming light itself. The final confrontation that the architects had designed humanity for was beginning. And for the first time in cosmic history, the void would face an enemy created specifically to oppose it. Humanity unleashed, awakened to their true potential as guardians of existence itself.